All right, Kevin back with you for another episode of the $1 Million Relationships Podcast. And today I'm here with Dr. Fred Johnson. Fred, welcome. So awesome to have you on the show today.
Kevin, thank you. It's a pleasure to be on your show, and it's even more of a pleasure to hang out with you.
Well, I'll tell you, it has been so cool getting to know you a little bit and stuff. And I have really been looking forward to doing this interview. And I have to start off by just giving a shout out to your PR guy, Dan Beeson, because he had reached out to me on the Quoted platform. You know what? Until about a year ago, I didn't even know about that platform. A good friend of mine told me about that platform, and Dan is your PR guy. And I'll tell you what, Dan, man, that guy, he's a rock star at doing what
He
he
is
does.
he is the best.
He is really good because I'll tell you, he sent me such an awesome message telling me about you. By the time I'm getting done reading that, I'm like, heck yeah, I want to talk with Dr. Fred, and you and I have already had a couple conversations.
Well, don't tell me what he said because that may create a lot of pressure on me that I may not be able to perform as well as he said I did.
Well, I'll tell you, I think we're going to be okay. So, well, what I'll do is we'll just start off here. I'll just lob a nice and easy question to start and get our conversation going. Then we'll dig deeper. But
Okay.
what do you do, Fred, and who do you serve?
I am the founder and owner of a global leadership company by the name of Initiative One,
Okay.
uh, headquarters based here in Green Bay, Wisconsin. We're all over the country. We're in seven different countries, I should say. And I would say this, we are experts in helping leaders transform to the very best version of themselves
Okay.
in a modern leadership culture.
Okay. Okay. Very good. So, what? Well, first of all, I was going to say, so what, you know what really got my attention was something either that I don't think it was something that, well, it might have been something that Dan said, but probably saw it on your website or when I was just checking stuff out or whatever. But what really endeared me right away, because I'm a big Seahawks fan because this is where I live. I live up in here in Seattle, and you know what? We just got to the Super Bowl this year, which was kind of a cool thing. And after not being there for quite a while, and I saw that you had worked with the Seahawks, and I'm like, wow. So that, of course, that piqued my curiosity and stuff. And so not only, I mean, so you mentioned leaders, but also you work with sports teams and stuff too and stuff. And
I'm in 29 different professional fields.
okay,
The irony is I have worked with six different NFL teams in a deep capacity and one professional baseball team, the Pittsburgh Pirates, as well as numerous NCAA Division I athletic programs.
okay,
And it was never intentional.
uh-huh,
You talk about the Seahawks, John Schneider, who was the executive vice president at the Seahawks. Um, Before he came to the Seahawks, um, I'm not sure this is accurate. I want to give that disclaimer, but he credits me with saving his career early in his career when he wanted to leave the profession in a time of deep discouragement.
oh wow,
And so I coached him back to get his feet back under him, so to speak, and helping get his mojo back. And we became, he was with Green Bay at the time, head of football operations. And we became dear, dear friends. And he eventually asked me to work with the entire scouting department at the Packers. And then I helped him interview for the Seahawks position. I helped him prepare for that.
okay,
And when he landed that position, he asked me, could you come out and do for us in helping to set a culture like you did at Green Bay?
wow,
And that was 2010.
okay,
Um,
okay,
and every time a player decides to throw his shoes over a telephone pole, whether there's an argument going on behind the scenes because of a particular play that was called in a Super Bowl game that created a little bit of tension, I get the calls behind the scenes.
Yes. Yeah. And and isn't that is kind of how it happens, isn't it? It's just having those right relationships with the people who just know us and know what our unique abilities are and what our unique God-given gifts are, that we're like are just like, you know what, man, this is something Dr. Fred can help with, you know. And and that's how it happens, isn't it? That's
Evan, I just had a coaching luncheon with a young CEO today, and he said, if there's one thing that you did right that you would coach me on, that absolutely you have, do not forget this, what would it be? And I said to him, no one succeeds by themselves.
yeah, yeah,
And you are only as strong as the quality of the relationships that you build and the quality of people that you surround yourself with. Now, if you surround themselves yourself to get something out of them, that's
yep,
not that's really not a relationship. That's a
yep,
transaction
yeah,
disguised as a relationship.
yes,
And I said it's got to be that you're pouring yourself into those relationships because you care about them, you want them to, you have their best interests of mind, and you're not expecting anything in return.
that's right.
You're doing it for the right reasons.
Yes,
And the irony is, almost embarrassed to say this. You don't expect anything in return, but those are the relationships that always give you this fabulous return,
yes, yeah,
you know?
right. Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, John introduced me to every single team that I've worked with. John, without asking, made an introduction on my behalf and said, you need to meet Dr. Fred.
yeah,
He
yeah.
can help you. And he didn't have to do that.
No, no,
And yet it set the tone of our relationship. I never charged him for all the coaching that I did for him way back then, and he wanted to pay me, and I'd say, "No, John, I'm just doing this because I just want to give you a gift."
mhm,
And and you end up drawing people who have the same mindset.
yeah,
And the gift giving goes all over the place.
that's right. That's right. And you know what you said about relationships, you know, I can, you know, the reason people refer is because they feel that doing so will actually further the relationship they have with both of the people that they're introducing and stuff.
Yes.
That's why
Yes.
they do it, you know.
I do it because, there's someone that I genuinely believe in, and he can help you.
Yeah.
And can I connect you to?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's really giving a gift to both people
Yes, it is.
in one fell swoop.
Yes. And then when stuff happens and they get back in touch with you and go like, wow, you know what? That was the most amazing experience. Thank you so much. You know?
Isn't it crazy? I
Yeah.
mean, the most, excuse me, the most enjoyable experiences that I've had, and I've worked with over 800 organizations in a deep capacity over 27 years. Um, the most enjoyable always came from a referral from a friend who cared deeply about me.
Yes. Yep.
And not only the enjoyment behind it, but even financially,
Yeah.
the largest multi-year deep dive engagements, every one of them came from a referral
Yes.
that I didn't ask for.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Just because that person making that introduction knew you were just the guy to help solve whatever the other person or entity was dealing with, you know?
And you've done the same thing. You have built a career on the same practice.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I love being that guy. You know, it's just so rewarding. You know. Well, so what inspires you most about the work that you get to do, Fred, and the impact you get to make.
Here's what inspires me. I inspire, what gets me out of bed is helping people to find hope, clear direction, and find their purpose, and then to live an intentional, high, high impact life that has the highest joy, and the deepest sense of meaning.
Yeah,
I just love doing that.
yeah, yeah,
And I love doing it for individuals. I love doing it for teams. And I love doing that for entire corporations.
yeah, yeah. How did you even happen to get into? I mean, when I was a kid, I wanted to grow up and be a fireman, and I didn't have any inkling of when I was a kid that I'd be doing what I get to do now. How did you get into this? How did you even start getting into this kind of work?
When I was a teenager, that was about 5 years ago.
Okay, all right,
Years took a couple years. I just had a natural love. I had a deep affinity way back in the 70s and 80s for leadership. The art of leadership, the craft of leadership, the aura of leadership. And I became a voracious student
okay,
of the theory of leadership. I eventually received a master's and a doctorate in divinity and theology. I became a pastor of a very large congregation in a suburb of Detroit, West Bloomfield, Michigan.
okay,
And in that congregation, I had 32 CEOs from the big three automobile makers and all of the support companies that support that work. And there was a lady that I met that she at that time was the head of what is was called the Malcolm Baldrige Quality Award. It was an effort sponsored by the President of the United States when when Japan was beating our tail. How she had helped Toyota in Japan to turn Toyota around.
okay,
So she was recruited. She led Cadillac when she came back, working with a gentleman by the name of Dr. Edwards Deming, who changed manufacturing leadership and changed the whole notion that the best leadership doesn't come from the top, it comes from the middle, closest to where the work is being done. And it was
mm,
turning leadership upside down to how traditional American leadership was done.
okay,
They worked together for 30 years. She came back, led Cadillac to that award, the Baldrige Award that led to Saturn. And then President Bush Sr. said, "Can you come and work with me and help us to develop the best of the best of the best companies in the United States?
wow,
And we want to compete on the world stage. And would you be the chief judge who determines who wins that award?"
wow,
And
wow,
she was a member of my congregation, and I was in my early 30s. She saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And she began to pour into me, and she mentored me for 4.5 years. She eventually became my first partner, but she was the leading female um, influencer in all of manufacturing in the world at that time.
okay,
And and um, she taught me how to walk into a room and within 5 minutes be able to sense what were the key issues under the table in this organizations that are keeping it from reaching its potential. And
wow,
she taught me that methodology, and she taught me how to read it. And so that's where I started. And we formed a company together while I was serving this congregation. My very first client was McDonnell Douglas Aerospace, then it was
Oh,
Boeing, then it was McDonald's, then it was Chase Manhattan Bank, you know, then it was Whirlpool. I mean, it just goes on, and it was all because of Dr. Riley,
yeah.
Rosetta Riley, and she she helped me fall in love with the art of helping companies become the best version of themselves while not losing their humanity and their care for people.
Wow.
That is
Wow.
what gets me going.
Yeah. Wow. And I'll tell you, there's no hiding your passion for this. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I just love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow. So now I want to dig deeper into this. What is a result that you've helped a client? And you don't have to name names here. You can if you want, but you don't have to. But what's a result that you've helped a client get that you're just incredibly proud of, Dr. Fred?
I was working with the world's leading pancreatic cancer center, research center. Um, It was founded by a gentleman who started the Genomic Medicine Institutes in Stanford and at Baylor. He was recruited to Arizona. I got a phone call one day from the CEO of this large health center, health system that said, Dr. So and so, when you're working with brilliant, brilliant, brilliant people, I mean, the gentleman I'm talking about has a Lifetime Achievement Award from Yale
Okay.
for his work in medicine and a Lifetime Achievement Award from Columbia.
Okay.
I mean, the best of the best. But typically, people with those kinds of gifts have equally brilliant weaknesses. And this gentleman was so hard to deal with that brilliant people were leaving the organization right and left.
Okay.
And the organization was in financial trouble.
Mhm.
Motorola, who was a foundation that I worked to help to start, said, we want to make $100 million donation to its cancer center. But from what we're hearing, we're not going to make $100 million donation until they get their house in order because we don't want to squander this resource. And so we started working with them, and I started personally coaching this gentleman. I'll never forget, he said to me with great pride, I've been I have been fired before by 7 people like you. And I looked at him, called him by name, and I said, well, you just made a mistake. Because you should have never told me that because I'm so daggone stubborn that I promise you, no matter how badly I want to, you will never be number 8.
Wow. Wow.
And we, I talked turkey to him and and helped him to change his entire leadership style. Um, and that company, that organization, was turned around. The CEO later said to me that literally it saved the work and the vitality of that organization. We were 6 months from shutting down.
Wow.
Today, they are on the leading edge of at least a dozen major therapies that are changing how pancreatic cancer is being formed. And so that was probably one of my most favorite accomplishments because it that gentleman and that institute not only are dealing with thousands of patients, they have changed the course of medicine.
Yeah.
And I had the privilege to somehow be just a little bit a part of that.
Hmm. Wow. Wow. That is, yeah. I mean, I'm just taking this in and just going like, how incredible that must feel to, like you said, to just be a little part of that, you know. And I just really love how you just kind of like I mean, maybe that guy was expecting to get fired. From what he shared, it sounds like he probably was. Like, this is just going to happen again. And
Yes.
the way you framed that for him, I mean, was just brilliant, and just kind of probably gave the guy hope, and right from the get-go, that like, well, man, maybe this guy's different. Maybe this is going to be okay. Maybe there's hope, kind of a thing. And
I'll never forget, Kevin. He lost 7 patients in one day, and he called me. And I'll never forget, I was walking out in the parking lot in front of our building here in Green Bay, and he was in tears. And first of all, this giant of a man that if in his field, everyone knows who he is. The fact that he would be that real with me and let his guard down and be that authentic and vulnerable. And I'll never forget, I said, look, here is in every crisis, if you look for it, there's always a blessing on the back end. And I said, here's the blessing. Typically, people are open to change in times of deep pain in their lives.
Mhm.
And I said, you have an opportunity to not only be a doctor who does miraculous life-saving work with one patient at a time. I don't think that's good enough for you. And I'll call his first name Dan. I said, Dan, I don't think that's good enough for you, given the gifts that you've been given. I said, I think you have a higher calling. You have a higher calling of working with other younger Dans, transferring this knowledge to them so that one day when you are no longer here, your work is still changing the lives of thousands of people at a time.
Yeah.
And I said, but until you let go of your ego and you have to be in the middle of every consulting appointment, every patient vision, what is it going on within you that your ego is so fragile that you have to be in the center until you can see and accept the fact that you are enough, that you are significant, and that your greatest mark of integrity is transferring this brilliant knowledge to all these incredible young residents who come from around the world to serve under you. Are you living to have a pat on the back, or are you living to have a profound impact upon a family's entire generational life?
Yeah.
And I get to have conversations like that.
Yeah. 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 With the kind of people that when you cause a shift to happen because of who you have chosen to serve, the impact of that is very widespread.
And they're not used to being stimulated. There's not a whole lot of people at their brain power, at their ability to their level of intelligence, emotional intelligence. And so even being able to be invited into a conversation like that is an honor in itself.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I could, and here's a cool one. We talked about the Seahawks. I'll never forget when the Seahawks won their first Super Bowl
I remember that.
right there in New York City.
Mhm.
And I got a call from the GM the day afterwards thanking me for my contribution to the Super Bowl. And I laughed. I said, John, you are so kind. But, buddy, this is one where your dog is walking a little bit too far on this one. I didn't have a thing to do with that. He said, oh, yes, you did. He said,
Wow.
number one, first of all, I would have never been in a position to be hired by the Seahawks. And number two, you taught me things that I've incorporated in our staff and in our locker room that there's no such thing as a winning team that has a toxic locker room. And you taught us the methods and the systems and the down to earth skills on how to deal with high ego, high performance people who were yet as fragile as a feather behind the scenes.
Wow.
And to get a call like that,
Yeah.
look, I'm just a hillbilly from West Virginia.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so every day um I just marvel at the opportunities that I've been
Yep.
gifted.
Yeah. You and me both. Yeah. Well, okay. So now that we've got some context set here, I want to switch gears just a little bit. I want to start talking about the relationship side of this a little bit more depth. So I'll start by just asking you, have you ever been introduced to a person or persons who completely changed the course of your life or your business, so much so that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person or persons? And I'm just really excited to hear your story and your experience around this topic of relationships.
Okay, I would love to answer that question. Um, there are too many to mention, uh, but what immediately comes to mind, first of all, is Dr. John Maxwell.
Okay.
John Maxwell, for those who don't know him, is seen arguably, he is the most influential influencer in the field of leadership today. Now, I've told him he's written like 40 books, and I've told him he's written the same book in 40 different versions. But he was the one who introduced to me the whole concept of humanity in leadership. He taught me that leadership in today's world has very, very little to do with authority and position.
Okay.
It is all about pouring yourself into people because you care about them and you have only their best interest in
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he taught me, this is going to sound squishy, but it's true. He taught me that you can't coach people hard if you don't love them hard first.
Mhm. Mhm.
And he taught me the whole essence of compassion and 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 today it's a buzzword, but he taught me this 45 years ago about the whole aspect of being vulnerable and letting your mask down and letting people see your wounds and and because people he taught me that people don't want a perfect leader.
Yeah,
They
that's
know
right.
that first of all, people are too informed today. Anybody that looks perfect, we all know he or she isn't perfect, and what's the deal?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he taught me that real leadership, people don't want perfect leaders, they want authentic leaders.
Yes. Yeah.
And those are the leaders who can get up on a stage and say, let me tell you something. These are the regrets that I have in my life. These are some of the biggest failures in my life. But let me tell you what I learned from these failures. You see, I can't relate to someone who has their act together,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I can relate to someone who's made a slew of mistakes.
Mhm.
And what he taught me was you don't try to attract people to you. You simply are real and authentic and honest, and you're willing to share the wounded side of you.
Yeah.
And people all have wounds, and they are craving for a voice of hope and to walk alongside of them in their own woundedness.
Mhm.
And many years ago, I was a recovering addict. I'm still a recovering addict. Ironically, one of my postdoctorate work subjects was in the area of addictive behaviors. I am an authority on that subject. Well,
Okay.
you know why I became an authority on addictive behaviors?
Why is that?
So I didn't have to look
So,
at my own.
oh, okay.
And
Okay.
so I could focus on how to get everybody else right while I was living a double life because of my addictions in my early 30s. And I'll never forget when it all came out in the 1990s. And I thought, oh my gosh, no one's ever going to follow me again. And I'll never forget. he says to me, from now on, you're going to be known as a leader with a limp. And
Yeah.
I went, and he meant it as a compliment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I was too new in my recovery to see that there could be anything positive about that. And
Mhm.
I went, oh no, I don't want people to see that side because I thought leadership was wearing, looking good, smelling good, acting good,
Yeah.
um, being perfect, which is farthest from the truth. But today, here's what's so cool. The best part of me is the limp.
Yeah.
The best part of me is that all that part of me that allowed me um, to fall,
Yeah.
to make deep mistakes. But from that and embracing that and taking responsibility and owning that,
Yeah.
wisdom and growth accelerated and came out of that. And if it hadn't been for that period, you and I wouldn't be talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
People don't care about 23 years of education. They
No.
don't
No.
care.
No.
What they care about is, do you care about me? Do you know
Mm.
me? And do I know you?
Yeah. 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 That's the whole thing is like, do they relate to us? And that leader who tries to pull off that everything is perfect and stuff, that's unrelatable because that's not other people's lives at all. They don't see that, in themselves. But when they realize that, like, oh, they stumble just like we do. And,
Kevin, here's three things that I work on. The first thing that we work on is we work on a leader's self-belief first. On a scale of 0 to 10, what our research has shown is that the average American leader um, has a self-belief level from 0 to 10 of 2.7.
oh, wow.
That's
Wow.
the average. There are folks, that means there are a bunch of folks that are down at one,
Yeah.
and here's what we have found. And I saw it in my own life because I came from a background of high dysfunction and shame in my family. I had this narrative that I wasn't enough and that I always had to somehow prove myself to others to be
Yep.
enough.
Yep.
And until um, I was began to learn by great mentors that the most important thing in leadership is changing my self-narrative from I am not enough to I am enough.
Yes. Yeah.
And when I am enough, now you can have a hard conversation with me and I'm not going to get defensive.
Hmm.
If you show me a mistake that I made, if I'm enough, I can receive that information without going into shame and beating myself up. Now I can look at it as a gift. Thank you for
Yes.
caring enough about me that you want me to be the best, to maximize my gifts and my impact. And thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah.
And so what we have found is the single biggest game changer in leadership is helping a person to change their self narrative from
Hmm.
performance based to being based.
I love
And
that.
and ironically, when I'm being based, we were working with a company last week and said, wait a second, our company, we have to perform. And I said, certainly you do. And not only do you have to perform, you have to do it with excellence.
Hmm.
However, here's the difference. When I'm a perfectionistic, performance based person, Um, I I'm pushing everybody else like crazy to perform so that I can feel good about me. Well, that kind of leadership leaves a debris field and it crushes people and your good people leave you and your good and mature people don't want to come to you.
Hmm.
And when you're being based, now you become actually even more effective because you're attracting a community of people with gifts and talents and knowledge and experience that you don't have. And your
Hmm.
community becomes such a weapon of all these tools and passionate engagement. And you succeed not without leaving a debris field.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
keep building on the momentum. For years, I was that leader. I was that perfectionistic, performance based, do it or get out of here leader. And every three years, I would turn over my entire staff, Kevin.
Wow. Wow.
And I got away with it because I was able to attract people, but I'd blow them out.
Yeah.
Well, until I became a being-based leader, until then, I'd start over every 3 years. And eventually we broke the cycle. After about 15 years, we broke that cycle.
Okay.
And one of my mentors said, "Don't you understand why your company is growing like crazy?" I said, "Well, help me to, what do you think?" He said, "Because for the first time in year three, you didn't go back to year one. You started going to year four with your people, in year five with your people, in year six, and you started building on that momentum and the wisdom, and your company's capacity got larger and larger." And so what we know is being based leaders actually have much greater success long term than a performance based leader. That's
Yeah.
short term, but they have to keep starting all over.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I always get a kick out of these. Oh, this is so you're teaching leadership that doesn't create results, huh? Oh, really? Let me show you reams of data that show you that the results are actually better while keeping your people and not losing your people.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I hope
Wow.
I'm not talking too much. I just get
You are
a bit.
totally good. You are totally good. Well, so I think you, so uh, in addition to John, I think there was one other person that you went on, and I want to make sure we give
John
you,
Maxwell.
yep.
John Maxwell was one. And let me tell you another one. It was
Okay.
my ninth grade Sunday school teacher.
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
never forget him. His name was Mr. Galt.
Mr. Galt. Okay.
And here's what he did for me. I was a little kid, 5'1", 98 pounds in the ninth grade, wearing a size three shoe. I had acne all over my face. I was a little runt, and I thought this much of myself.
Yep. Yep.
He was the first person in my life who came to me and said, "Freddie, I believe in you and you have great things in store." And he would
Wow.
say that to me every single week.
Wow.
And that was 55 years ago. And when I have those tough days where I'm doubting myself and I want to quit and I'm questioning, those words from him cling into my mind and
Yeah.
my heart
Yeah.
55 years later.
Yeah.
And so never doubt the small words of encouragement can be life changers that can last a lifetime.
Amen.
John Maxwell and Mr. Galt.
Wow. Wow. Well, I'll tell you, man, I have just, this has been absolutely amazing. And well, for anyone who might be listening to this and thinking to themselves, man, Kevin, I mean, I just really appreciate Fred. I love who he is. I love how he shows up. And maybe they're thinking, man, maybe he might be able to help us, or maybe he might be able to help me, or maybe there's somebody else that I want to like let know about Dr. Fred and stuff. Any websites, any resources we can share with folks with the podcast episode here?
Absolutely. You can go to Initiative One, spell that out,
Okay.
ONE.com.
Okay.
You can go to a personal website that talks more about the sports side, drfredjohnson.com.
Okay.
And you can go to find Initiative One on Facebook,
Okay.
also on LinkedIn. You can find our company, Initiative One, on LinkedIn, and you can find me on LinkedIn, Dr.
Okay.
Fred Johnson, as well.
Okay. I'll make sure that we include those links with the show notes here and stuff. So,
Thank you.
you bet. For I mean, any last thing that you feel led to share, Fred, before we call it a wrap?
Um, we would not be meeting if we didn't share a similar passion. I'm a
Yeah.
strong believer in the law of attraction.
Mhm.
And the law of attraction teaches that we attract to us those who have already become what we want to become.
Yep. Yep.
And I will guarantee you, you are a master of showing appreciation, gratitude, deep affinity, and you have this gift, Kevin, of just pouring joy and love into people. And you have it in spades. And I believe that I was drawn to you for you to teach me how to become more of what you bring to the table.
Mm. Mm.
We attract who we are.
Yeah. 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 Well, it's so interesting. We're 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 in such a fascinating time right now, and with the, in our digital and now AI world, you know, trust and relationships are becoming more and more valuable assets all the time, day by day.
And that
And
is why AI will never be able to touch that.
yeah, yeah,
Is
yeah,
it cannot talk, it can't, and even if it appears to, you always will know it's coming from a bot
yeah,
who speaks love, but there's nothing real behind it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and those leaders who will focus on relationship, focus on caring for people, focus on being present, will never find a place of irrelevancy in an AI world.
yeah. That's right. That's right. And well, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation today. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you, and I am so excited to get this out there and share it with a lot of other entrepreneurs and founders and CEOs. So thanks so much, Fred.
Thank you, Kevin. It's a real pleasure and an honor. Have a great day.
Absolutely.